Today on the Daily Scoop podcast from the Scoop News Group, agency software purchasing bill, the SAMOSA Act, is reintroduced by House Oversight members. And the Trump administration's CIO carousel continues to turn, this time with a swap out at SSA. It's Friday, March 28th, 2025. Welcome to the Daily Scoop podcast, where you'll hear the latest news and trends facing government leaders. I'm the host of the Daily Scoop podcast, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for joining me. All right, let's dive into today's top headlines. A bipartisan group of House Oversight and Government Reform Committee members reintroduced a bill on Thursday that aims to overhaul federal software purchasing for better efficiency and reduced costs. The Strengthening Agency Management and Oversight of Software Assets, or SAMOSA Act, would require agencies to conduct comprehensive software inventories and undergo independent assessments of management practices and contracts. The legislation, which is backed by several leading software trade groups, would also require agency chief information officers to create a plan to adopt enterprise licensing agreements in order to improve costs and negotiating power against vendors. Additionally, the Office of Management and Budget would have to publish a government-wide strategy for software modernization based on audits and plans. Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina, who introduced the bill with Representatives Jerry Connolly, April McClain Delaney, and Pat Fallon, said in a statement that the government spends money on software that it doesn't need, doesn't use, or already has. The House previously passed the SAMOSA Act last December, but the bill didn't make it through the Senate before the last congressional term expired. The reintroduction of the bill comes as federal CIO Greg Barbaccia this week sent guidance to federal CIOs, asking them to begin inventorying licenses with the federal government's top 5 software contractors. In other news, the Trump administration's Council of Federal CIOs has so far been much like a carousel at some agencies, with officials, frequently with ties to Elon Musk's DOGE, coming in and out of the top tech role at agencies. The Social Security Administration is the latest such agency to trade out one DOGE staffer for another. FedScoop learned this week that SSA has tapped DOGE associate Scott Coulter as its new chief information officer, replacing another member of the Elon Musk-led group who spent a little more than a month in the role. Coulter, a Harvard graduate with a background in investment management, was added to SSA's org chart this week as CIO. Mike Rousseau, who started as the agency's top IT official on February 3rd, according to an SSA spokesperson, is now listed as senior advisor to the commissioner. The agency spokesperson told FedScoop last month that Rousseau would be, quote, coordinating on technology initiatives that can improve the service we provide, including our national 800 number. Coulter holds a bachelor's and master's degree in applied mathematics and previously worked as a private equity analyst at the Blackstone Group. He founded the New York-based investment management firm Cowbird Capital in 2017. And Rousseau was previously an executive at Shift4, a payments processing company that links to Musk's SpaceX. For more news at the intersection of the federal government and technology, make sure to visit fedscoop.com. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of the Daily Scoop podcast, available on all podcast platforms. If you already rated the podcast on your platform of choice, thanks so much. High ratings and good reviews of the show help more people to find it. The Daily Scoop podcast is a production of the Scoop News Group in Washington, D.C. Adam Butler and Carlin Fisher help put the show together, and the entire Scoop News Group team contributes. We'll be back next week with more top headlines. Until then, I'm your host, Billy Mitchell. Thanks so much for listening.